A study from Princeton University found that people often confuse complicated language with intelligence, even when the underlying idea is weak. Think about that. The more difficult something sounds, the smarter we assume it is. And that single psychological bias quietly destroys communication in companies, leadership, education, and even personal relationships. Here's the uncomfortable question. If people constantly misunderstand you, is the problem really their intelligence? Or is it your inability to communicate clearly? Because many intelligent people secretly use complexity as protection. Complex language creates distance, it hides uncertainty, and sometimes it protects the ego from being truly understood. Psychologists call part of this the illusion of explanatory depth. People often believe they understand something deeply until they are forced to explain it simply. And the moment they try, the gaps become obvious. Complexity can hide weak thinking. Simplicity exposes whether understanding is actually real. This is why some leaders sound impressive, but create confusion everywhere around them. Endless frameworks, endless jargon, endless meetings filled with abstract language. Everyone nods politely, but nobody truly understands what to do next. Because communication without clarity is not intelligence, it is noise. Steve Jobs understood this deeply. Apple presentations were powerful partly because they simplified technology into language ordinary people could instantly understand. The goal was not to sound advanced, the goal was to make complex ideas feel obvious. That is real communication power. But many people unconsciously do the opposite. They overcomplicate ideas to appear valuable. Complicated explanations sound safer because they reduce the risk of being challenged directly. If nobody fully understands you, nobody can easily expose weaknesses in your thinking. And this behavior becomes dangerous inside organizations. Teams stop asking questions because they fear sounding unintelligent. Meetings become performances instead of decision-making environments. Complexity starts replacing clarity. And slowly, entire companies become inefficient while believing they are sophisticated. Look at companies like WeWork during its peak years. The language surrounding the business often sounded visionary, transformational, even philosophical. But beneath the complexity, many core problems remained structurally unresolved. And eventually, reality exposed what language had temporarily hidden. The truth is uncomfortable. If you genuinely understand something, you should usually be able to explain it clearly, not simplistically, clearly. Einstein himself famously argued that if you cannot explain something simply, you may not understand it well enough yourself. This also explains why some highly intelligent people struggle socially or professionally. They communicate for self-expression instead of transmission. Their goal becomes sounding accurate rather than being understood. But communication is not about protecting your intelligence. It is about transferring meaning effectively. And clarity requires vulnerability, because simple language removes hiding places. Once your idea becomes clear, it can be judged clearly too. That is psychologically uncomfortable for many people whose identity depends on appearing intellectually superior. Ask yourself honestly, when you explain something complicated, are you trying to help people understand, or are you trying to demonstrate how much you know? Those are not the same motivation. Ironically, true experts often sound calmer and simpler than amateurs. Because they no longer need complexity to prove competence, they focus on outcomes, not intellectual theater. And that simplicity creates trust. People follow clarity much more easily than confusion. Complexity is not always sophistication. Sometimes it is insecurity wearing intelligent clothing. And once you recognize this, you start noticing how often modern communication rewards sounding impressive instead of being useful. You sound smart, but nobody understands you. And until clarity becomes more important than appearing intelligent, your communication may continue creating admiration without influence. If this made you rethink how you communicate, leave a like and subscribe to 300 Seconds University for high-density insights in under 5 minutes.